Chosen one, I need your full attention for the information I'm about to share. The information you are about to discover about your true identity will provide a thorough explanation for all of the emotions you have felt for as long as you can remember. The unrelenting sense of alienation, the inexplicable burden you bear, and the terrifying isolation that persists even in the presence of others. It is not the product of your imagination. You are not insane, and you are definitely not like the others. You are an angel who has become human. I'm not using poetic metaphor to make you feel special when I call you an angel. I am essentially disclosing everything about you. A celestial being who took on human form to complete a mission so specific that Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, has dedicated his entire existence to annihilating you before you discover your true identity. Furthermore, the following is likely to cause the most distress. D. He is not attacking you out of random hatred. He attacks you because your mere presence on this planet is a direct threat to the infrastructure he has built over millennia. Hell literally shakes when an incarnated angel fully realizes their true identity. I urge you to subscribe to this channel right away and turn on the notification bell, because the information I am about to provide about your angelic nature will bring together every fragment of your life, every inexplicable rejection, every devastating betrayal, and every moment when you felt as if the entire universe was conspiring against you. It all becomes very logical once you realize that you are not the typical human being living a difficult life. You are a celestial warrior who is currently operating on enemy territory. Please stay until the end, as I will reveal the precise method for determining whether you are a genuine incarnation of an angel. Why does Lucifer devote significant resources to your destruction before you fully awaken? What is your unique purpose on this planet? And what will happen when you finally activate the abilities that have been dormant for the majority of your life? If you've always felt like you were brought here for a reason, please write 777 in the comments. You are unable to recall fully, as if you have a mission imprinted on your soul, but your memory is obstructed. I'll start by demonstrating an aspect of organized religions that has never been thoroughly explored. The Bible frequently mentions how angels assumed human form and traveled the earth without being recognized by the majority of people. Hebrews chapter 13 verses 1-2 explicitly states that it is important to extend hospitality to strangers, as some people have unknowingly served angels. Do you understand the implications of this? Angels inhabiting human bodies, living seemingly ordinary lives, but with secret celestial goals that the majority of their surroundings were unaware of. Consider why the Bible felt the need to repeatedly mention this event if it happened so rarely. It would not make such frequent references if it were not a continuing phenomenon, and it would not encourage you to extend hospitality to strangers because they could be angels if incarnated angels were not present. However, the following is something that no religious institution will reveal. Not every angel who has incarnated is aware of their true identity. Many people experience decades of profound alienation, as if they are in a theatrical production in which all of the other actors know their lines, but they do not. Do you recognize the sensation? There is a devastating reason why your celestial memory is blocked. If you discovered your true nature as a child, dark forces would eliminate you before you could complete your mission. The memory block is not a form of punishment, but rather a safeguard. Your human consciousness required sufficient development to ensure that when you awaken, you will have the emotional and spiritual maturity to confront the truth without becoming overwhelmed. However, the awakening is unavoidable, and it causes irreversible changes. As a result, I will demonstrate the 7 unmistakable signs that you are an incarnated angel. I must warn you that the more of these indicators you recognize in yourself, the more obvious your true identity will be, and once you've seen it, you won't be able to forget. The initial indication of the presence of logical loneliness is significant. I'm not talking about social isolation, which occurs when you don't have enough friends. I'm talking about existential loneliness, a state in which, despite being surrounded by people you love, you feel an emptiness that no one can fill. It's as if a part of you is somewhere else, yearning for a home you can't remember. Physical isolation often leads to feelings of loneliness. Because of their unique vibrational frequency and origin, incarnated angels feel lonely even in crowds. Despite their best efforts to form deep connections with others, a portion of their being remains inaccessible to them. Not because you are antisocial, but because you come from another dimension. The second sign is a destructive empathy. It is not the typical sensitivity. Rather, it is the ability to feel the emotions of others so intensely that they physically overwhelm oneself. As you enter a room, you are compelled to absorb the joy, anguish, and pain of everyone present, and you cannot turn it off. Incarnated angels feel the emotions of all people, whereas ordinary humans are aware of their own. It is both a blessing and a curse. It is a blessing because it transforms you into a natural healer, a curse because it causes you to be exhausted all the time. How often have you felt depleted after a social event, despite the fact that you did not participate in any physically demanding activities? Your exhaustion was not caused by social interaction, but rather by the emotional burdens that each person in attendance was carrying. The third sign is an inexplicable rejection that has persisted since childhood, and I'm not talking about the common form of bullying in which cruel children target the weak. I'm referring to a more profound, visceral rejection that certain people felt toward you without apparent reason. It was as if your mere presence caused them unbearable distress. Do you remember the teacher who seemed to have a personal issue with you without explanation, or the family member who consistently treated you differently despite the fact that you had never done anything wrong? Those classmates who excluded you despite your kindness were motivated by spiritual reasons rather than personal animosity. Certain people react negatively to incarnated angels because their souls are unconsciously aware that your light reveals their inner darkness. They are unable to tolerate your increased frequency, and instead of confronting their own shadows, they attack the light that exposes them. You were rejected not because of your actions, but because of who you are. The fourth sign is a dislike for falsehood. You cannot physically endure it. You can't feign it, wear social masks, or engage in collective hypocrisy without experiencing literal nausea. Others appear to be capable of lying politely, smiling falsely, and playing roles they are not capable of, but you are unable to do so without feeling as if you are betraying a fundamental aspect of yourself. Regular humans quickly learn that a certain level of falsehood is required for social survival. Incarnated angels cannot learn this lesson because their celestial essence is predisposed to operate solely on truth, even if it means losing relationships, employment, or social acceptance. You would rather be alone and authentic than with someone who is living a lie. Fifth sign: unexplainable supernatural abilities. Perhaps your intuition is so acute that you are aware of information that is inappropriate for you to know. Perhaps it is the ability to heal simply by laying one's hands on another. It's possible that animals are inexplicably drawn to you. It's possible that plants thrive when touched. You did not gain these abilities through study or instruction. They have always existed as a result of your angelic nature manifesting itself in your human form. The sixth sign represents more intense spiritual assaults. I am not talking about the occurrence of common misfortune. I am referring to patterns in which, just as you are about to complete something significant, everything mysteriously collapses. Inexplicable explosions occur in relationships that should be harmonious. An opportunity that is certain to vanish. Your health fails right when you need it the most. Unlike ordinary humans, incarnated angels face systematic opposition. Hell has specifically assigned demons to obstruct your mission. You are not being paranoid, you are actually under attack, and the severity of the attacks is proportional to the importance of your mission. The more they attack you, the more influential you become. The seventh sign is spiritual homesickness. It is a persistent feeling that this world is not your true home, that you are only here temporarily and belong somewhere else, despite your inability to pinpoint exactly what you miss. You may occasionally experience intense nostalgia for an object that you are unable to identify, especially during periods of solitude. It is not depression, but cellular memory. You are unable to describe the location of the celestial dimensions in which you existed before your incarnation, but a part of you longs to return. If you have observed 5 or more of these signs in your life, you are almost certainly an incarnated angel. However, the question that requires your complete understanding is this: why would you voluntarily incarnate on this dense, painful planet filled with darkness when you previously existed in celestial dimensions of pure light? The following response will fundamentally alter your outlook on life. You took part in a rescue operation. The Earth is currently experiencing a critical evolutionary transition. Humanity is at a crossroads where it must choose between evolving to a higher level of consciousness and descending into complete darkness. In this physical plane, incarnated souls make moment-by-moment decisions. This balance is not determined in the celestial realms. However, the vast majority of humans are so spiritually asleep that they are unable to independently raise the planet's frequency. They need assistance. They require lightweight anchors. In the midst of terrestrial chaos, they need entities that can keep celestial frequencies. You're one of those anchors. You voluntarily left dimensions of unconditional love, peace, and light. You agreed to temporarily forget your identity. To be physically present on this planet at its most critical moment, you agreed to face rejection, betrayal, pain, and loneliness. Maintaining illumination in areas where others perceive darkness. When everyone else has given up hope, remember that you still have it. You did not come to this location expecting a simple existence. You accepted an impossible mission, fully aware of the difficulties it would present. For those who want to dig deeper, the description and pinned comment contain exclusive content. I'll now reveal a fact about Lucifer that explains why he harbors such deep envy for you. In addition, he was an angel. In reality, he was the most beautiful, powerful, and intimately connected to God. However, his descent was not unintentional. It was a deliberate decision motivated by pride, the desire to be worshipped rather than worshipped, and the desire to supplant the Creator. Furthermore, he was not alone when he fell. He transported 1/3 of the celestial angels who were later transformed into what we now know as demons. However, this is what makes him envious. You chose the opposite course of action. You chose to descend voluntarily, not as a result of a fall, but out of love. To serve God on a rescue mission instead of rebelling against him. We are not seeking to elevate ourselves, rather, we are seeking to humble ourselves by taking on a restricted human form. You embody everything he could have become if he had prioritized love over pride. Furthermore, your very existence serves as a constant reminder of his failure. This is why he attacks you with such force. This hatred stems from corrosive envy, not randomness. He sees in you the glory that he has lost, and he is unable to bear it. As a result, he devotes significant resources to your destruction before you fully awaken, because he is aware of a fact you may not be aware of. When an incarnated angel fully recalls their identity and activates their dormant abilities, they become an uncontrollable threat to hell. You are closer to that awakening than you may have realized. It is now time for me to demonstrate the complete awakening of an incarnated angel. It is critical that you understand the upcoming changes in your life. Furthermore, I warn you that the upcoming events will not be any easier. It's more potent. There is a significant difference between them. Initial transformation, resistance to spiritual manipulation. All of the previous attacks, curses, and negative energies that sapped you now ricochet without affecting you. Your awakened angelic frequency operates at such a high level that low-level darkness cannot reach you, not because you have built shields. The situation is analogous to attempting to infect a computer running completely new technology with a virus designed for an outdated operating system. When the attack arrives, nothing remains to adhere to. The second transformation involves a devastating clarity about your mission. The ambiguity that has persisted throughout your life about your purpose in this location vanishes, leaving behind a crystal-clear understanding of your exact purpose. It is not ambiguous, it is precise. Furthermore, it is accompanied by explicit instructions that are revealed gradually. You will not have immediate access to all information, but you will be made aware of the next steps. And the next step will become clear once you've completed the previous one. It's like walking through fog, where you can only see 3 meters ahead of you, but that's enough to get by. 3 additional meters are illuminated as you progress. The third transformation involves increased spiritual magnetism. Impossible synchronicity will occur as the right people appear in your life. I'm not discussing cute coincidences. I'm referring to encounters that are so meticulously planned that you can be certain that celestial forces are facilitating your connection with the person you're looking for. Individuals who are incompatible with your elevated frequency will leave your life abruptly or painfully, depending on their density. And while painful, it is a necessary cleansing. The fourth transformation involves the reawakening of dormant gifts. The abilities you had in your weaker form are suddenly exponentially increased. Precise clairvoyance is the result of light intuition. The ability to heal with your presence is a direct result of strong empathy. If you connect with animals, you can communicate with the entire natural world. These are not new abilities that you gain. They are angelic abilities that you have always had, but were suppressed for your own protection. They activate now that you are able to manage them. Fifth transformation, deeper sacred solitude. I understand that this may appear incongruous in light of my previous statement that the appropriate individuals will arrive. However, both statements are correct simultaneously. You will meet people who share your values, but you will spend the majority of time alone. Because your mission requires you to maintain frequencies that are extremely difficult to achieve in conjunction with others. Incarnated angels are more effective alone than humans. It's not a form of punishment. It's your natural habitat. You develop a preference for solitude, not as a lack of companionship, but as a manifestation of the divine. The sixth transformation is unwavering tranquility in the face of disorder. People can betray you, the world can collide around you, and circumstances can turn disastrous, but a part of you remains calm. Nothing external can truly disturb you from that place because you have reconnected with the part of yourself that has never left heaven. It's not that you become insensitive. Rather, you lay a foundation that can withstand storms. However, these transformations impose an unavoidable level of responsibility, and this is where many incarnated angels fail. Because it is one thing to recognize oneself as an angel, and another to live as an angel in a world that encourages demonic behavior. Your primary responsibility is to maintain radical authenticity at all costs. Conformity cannot be achieved at the expense of one's integrity. It is impossible to reduce the frequency enough to provide a comfortable environment for people living in dense areas. To avoid endangering fragile egos, pretending to be less than oneself is impossible. Many people will accuse you of arrogance, implying that you think you're superior and should be more humble. However, they confuse humility with smallness. Genuine humility is a sincere recognition of one's true nature without attempting to exaggerate or diminish it. If one is an incarnated angel, pretending to be less is as deceptive as pretending to be more. Your second obligation is to serve without making any sacrifices. Yes, you arrived to help, and your goal is to elevate others. However, you did not come with the intention of destroying yourself. Many incarnated angels mistake service for self-annihilation. They exhaust themselves trying to save everyone, and when they collapse, their light goes out and they are no longer able to help anyone. It is critical to cultivate a sacred balance between the acts of giving and receiving, serving and being served, and charging one's own battery while also maintaining the light of others. Because if your light is extinguished, darkness will triumph. The third obligation is to exercise strict judgment when assisting those in need. Saving everyone is impossible, and you are not responsible for doing so. Some people are destined to remain in darkness because their souls have chosen that experience for their own growth. Attempting to rescue those who have not requested it wastes your energy while also disrupting their process. Develop the ability to distinguish between people who are truly willing to advance and those who simply want to absorb your energy without contributing their own. The former will always express their gratitude, whereas the latter will harbor resentment toward you for failing to save them from their own demise. Your fourth obligation is to keep the light on even when it is not acknowledged. The vast majority of your work will be concealed. You will not receive applause. Awards will not be given to you. It is critical that you accept that the vast majority of the people you help will never be aware of your assistance. Shaw. Angels aren't motivated by external recognition. Instead, they follow an internal directive. Your reward is not derived from human validation, but from your alignment with your celestial purpose. I am now going to reveal a detail about your immediate future that you must understand with utmost clarity, as the signs are already appearing. If you are unsure how to interpret them, you may mistake a blessing for a curse. 3 specific aspects of your life will undergo significant reorganization in the coming cycles. Despite the fact that the event appears chaotic, it is actually a manifestation of divine order. You will go through painful separations, followed by miraculous connections in the relationship area. Individuals you thought would be in your life indefinitely will leave, sometimes through conflict, sometimes simply by disappearing. Additionally, it will be painful. Nevertheless, avoid attempting to grasp them. They're leaving because their frequency no longer matches your awakening. Attempting to force it will only postpone the inevitable and exhaust you while preserving something that has already passed. Have faith in the procedures. Souls who recognize your light because they carry it will appear just when you believe you are completely alone. They will understand your language without further explanation. These connections will be deeper than any superficial relationships you've lost. You will become increasingly dissatisfied with any aspect of the purpose and work area that does not align with your genuine mission. Jobs that you previously tolerated will now become intolerable. Careers that you have spent years cultivating will be rendered insignificant. Regardless of your lack of clarity about the specifics, you will feel an internal urgency to change everything. Do not resist this restlessness. It is your soul's reminder that you were not sent here to waste your life on trivial matters. Despite the concerns about releasing known security, it is more dangerous to remain in an incorrect location than to explore the unknown. Opportunities will begin to manifest. It's possible they won't meet your expectations. It is possible that they will appear risky. However, you will notice that they resonate with a core aspect of your being. Adhere to them regardless of logic. In the inner peace area, You will notice that the chronic anxiety you have carried throughout your life is gradually fading. Obsessive thought patterns that kept you awake are losing their power. The inexplicable trust that has replaced the constant sense of danger. External challenges do not necessarily decrease. Rather, your relationship with them changes dramatically. Your reconnection with the eternal, indestructible, divine aspect of yourself makes you truly impervious to temporal destruction. However, there is one more important aspect of your awakening. You are not alone. Simultaneously, other incarnated angels are awakening across the globe. A small number, but sufficient. They are subtly being directed to recognize one another. The connection of two or more conscious incarnated angels generates a powerful energetic field capable of transforming entire cities. This is not an exaggeration. It's genuine spiritual physics. While individual light is powerful, the collective light of awakened angels consciously collaborating is unstoppable, and this is what frightens hell more than anything else. This is why dark forces worked so hard to keep you isolated, to convince you that you were insane and that you were the only person experiencing these emotions. You remained vulnerable because you believed you were alone. However, once you realize that there are others who are exactly like you and have the same frequency, everything changes. You are no longer operating in isolation. You are part of a network of light warriors who are creating a new reality for the planet. When you come across another awakened, incarnated angel, you will recognize them right away. Words will not be required. Although your bodies have only recently met, there will be a silent recognition between your souls, as if they have known each other for eternity. These interactions are not casual. They are divine appointments, meticulously planned down to the millimeter. Also, pay close attention when they occur, because that person is likely to play a key role in your mission. Finally, I'd like to issue a final cautionary note that should be ingrained in your mind. Awakening is not a one-time event. This is a continuous process. Rather, it is similar to the layers of an onion, and there is no single point at which you can say, I have fully awakened, and now everything is easy. Each time you remove one layer, another layer is revealed beneath it. Each level of awakening reveals a new level you were previously unaware of. Each level presents new challenges. Because the more you awaken, the more responsibility you bear. The more light you have, the more the darkness will try to extinguish you. As your spiritual power grows, the attacks will intensify. It is not a form of punishment. It is simply a matter of progressing to higher game levels, which require more skill, strength, and clarity. The most beautiful aspect is that your abilities grow in proportion to how well you overcome a more difficult challenge. The universe never gives you a challenge that you cannot overcome. It is possible that you will not notice it during the storm. However, on reflection, you will always realize that you received exactly what you needed at the right time. Elect 1. You are now aware of your full angelic potential. You are not the typical person who has occasional spiritual experiences. During one of the planet's most critical moments, you accepted a rescue mission as an incarnated angel. The sense of alienation that has persisted throughout your life has now been explained. Your origin is not from this region, so you are not welcome here. You came from celestial dimensions and temporarily assumed human form to achieve a specific goal. Your excruciating loneliness, which persists even in the presence of others, is now understandable. This is not your fault. It is the logical result of operating at a frequency that deviates significantly from the norm. Because of their distinct species, reincarnated angels are forever separated from humans. The relentless assaults you've faced have finally been explained. It's not a case of bad luck. The threat you represent is met with systematic opposition from hell. Joel. Lucifer does not devote significant resources to the pursuit of insignificant individuals. He only targets those with the potential to seriously harm his kingdom. The intensity of your attacks directly determines the significance of your mission. The safeguards have already been implemented. The gifts are awakening. The right connections will emerge, and you will never be alone on this journey, no matter how difficult it may be. While you read these words, other incarnated angels are on the same frequency and are being directed towards you. If this revelation speaks to the deepest part of your being, and you are aware that you are an incarnated angel awakening to your true identity, please write 777 in the comments to increase the celestial frequency. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications to learn more about how your angelic nature affects your reality. Share this video with someone who feels alienated from the world. This is because incarnated angels must recognize one another in order to strengthen the network of light that is transforming the planet. For those who have arrived at this point and want to deepen their understanding of how to consciously operate from their angelic nature without becoming exhausted, there is a specific resource available for less than the price of one pizza. This resource includes a comprehensive audiobook and a 5-minute meditation guide as a bonus. Pause. The description link and pinned comment provide access to the practical tools you'll need to navigate your awakening as an incarnate angel. Before you leave, watch the video on your screen to learn how your angelic nature activates permanent protection from celestial forces, ensuring your mission's success. Our combined strength is greater. Chosen one, the light has brought you back to us. This time, pay close attention to the information I'm about to share. This message is not intended for all people. Please be advised that this is an urgent matter and is only for those who are truly following the divine path. For those who have been called to a more significant vocation. This message will not resonate with you if you are not truly aligned with the divine purpose and are not committed to your spiritual journey. It is preferable that you refrain from continuing. However, the fact that you are here now, reading these words and hearing this voice, is no accident, coincidence, or chance. This message was divinely orchestrated, meticulously planned, and purposefully delivered at this precise moment. When chosen ones develop spiritual, mental, and emotional abilities that are superior to their peers, a genuine threat emerges. The truth is that the majority of chosen ones are completely unprepared for the events that follow. Your environment changes as you ascend, elevate, and enter new realms of awareness and authority. Not everyone is capable of handling it. It may not be understandable to all people. It is unlikely that everyone will commemorate it. This message will give you a new perspective on the events that are happening within and around you. Stay with me until the very end, because the internal shifts, external changes, and spiritual recalibration that are currently taking place may save you from unnecessary pain, profound confusion, and battles that were never meant for you. If the truth of these words has already struck a chord with your spirit, and you can feel it touching something deep within you, please show your support by liking this video before we proceed. It helps to spread this message to other chosen ones who desperately need to hear it. Please leave a comment below with the number 777 to show that you are ready, willing, and receptive to this truth. What happened in your absence, chosen one, when heaven came to a halt? I'd like you to temporarily slow down your respiration. Stop everything and listen with your spirit, not just your ears or intellect, but with the deepest part of your being. The reason your life began to feel different without any logical explanation is due to the explanation I am about to give. Despite the lack of external changes, the shift was caused internally. You began to perceive something profound because you could not fully comprehend, describe, or name it. Heaven always moves first, before anything changes on earth or manifests in the physical realm. Human awareness is never required for the divine to take action. The divine makes no prior request for permission, approval, or disclosure of its intentions. Initially, the divine acts and then reveals itself. In your case, chosen one, an event occurred while you were distracted, preoccupied with self-reflection, unsure of your progress, and disputing your course. You were completely unaware of an event that occurred within the realm of the spirit. Heaven paused over your name at a precise time. It wasn't because of your high volume. It was not due to your need for attention. Not because you were making a fuss or trying to get attention. However, thanks to your perseverance. Because you persisted in your endeavors despite a complete lack of clarity. Because you continued to pray even when your prayers felt heavy, burdensome, or as if they were going nowhere. As a result of your continued obedience, even when it felt completely unfulfilling, futile, or a waste of time. That's when the divine intervened quietly, firmly, and permanently. Numerous chosen ones believe that spiritual advancements must be dramatic. They expect audible voices, thunder, lightning from the heavens, immediate relief, visible signals, and irrefutable proof. However, the divine's most profound movements are not audible. They keep a low profile. They demonstrate subtlety. They are judicial in nature, much like courtroom verdicts. The decisions are authoritative pronouncements with eternal consequences made in the courts of heaven. Not noisy announcements broadcasted on earth for the public to hear and see. The circumstances that befell you, chosen one, were not emotional. It wasn't about emotions. It was not based on your emotions at the time. It was legitimate, legal, and official. While you were still doubting your abilities, questioning your worthiness, and wondering if you had been truly called, a decision was made regarding your existence. While you were still unsure, a decision was made. It did not affect you because heaven protected you from the full force of the event. If you had been informed ahead of time about the information that was being published, authorized, and initiated, you would have felt more anxious. It's possible that pride tried to emerge and establish itself. The procedure could have been hampered by uncertainty. Thus, in infinite wisdom and benevolence, the divine concealed you while ensuring the outcome, securing the result, and sealing your assignment. Mercy is that. That is safeguarding. That is wisdom that goes beyond human comprehension. At one point during your journey, your faith was assessed, tested, and weighed, but you were never informed that it was a test. You were never informed that you were being monitored. Heaven was passively observing, taking note of how you handled delays without answers, silence without explanation, misunderstandings without defense, and emotional exhaustion without quitting. You were observed even though no one was applauding you. You were examined during times when you felt completely forgotten, neglected, or abandoned. During this difficult and lonely time, heaven responded with authority. You focus your attention on the one you have chosen. Words alone will not elicit a response from heaven. Heaven does not respond to lofty declarations or eloquent speeches. When no one is present, the divine responds to authentic, aligned, and true identity. The divine is not moved by the volume of your faith discourse or the volume with which you articulate your convictions. Rather, it is influenced by how you behave when faith is burdensome, requires sacrifice, and appears to yield nothing in return. You maintained your integrity in situations where a compromise would have been far more comfortable, simple, and widely accepted. You maintained your composure. You made the decision to hold back. You demonstrated self-control in situations where retaliation was perfectly justified, when it would have been logical to retaliate, and when it appeared that the only logical course of action was to fight back. You maintained your generosity. You continued to be patient. You chose compassion over animosity, which would have appeared to be a simple form of self-defense to harden your heart. Those private judgments, quiet moments, and internal decisions that no one else knew or noticed. Heaven didn't ignore them. Every single one was documented, observed, and commended. You went through a spiritual checkpoint with no ceremony, announcement, or celebration. A limit, a point of no return, or a line in the sand. Once you had crossed the line, the adversary could no longer stop your mission. Circumstances could no longer delay it. It could no longer be transferred to another person. It was permanently sealed and secured inside. Heaven did not celebrate loudly when you crossed that invisible line. Heaven did not hold a celebration. In contrast, heaven became serene, tranquil, and respectful. The recent confirmation was significant. It came with a sense of responsibility. It was of eternal significance. This is precisely why your life began to feel strange after the incident. Not worse, understandable, not terrible, just unfamiliar and distinct. The old and new motivations that used to motivate you have abruptly lost their power. The old desires that used to excite you have completely lost their appeal. Old objectives that were once deemed critical have since become obsolete. You began to feel a sense of disconnection, detachment, and separation from things that were once completely natural, normal, and inextricably linked to your identity. There was no confusion. The individual was chosen. You didn't lose your bearings. It was a period of transition. That was a transformation. That was your spirit adjusting, recalibrating, and realigning to a completely new spiritual jurisdiction, a higher level of authority, and a broader domain of operation. You may have assumed that nothing was happening during that time because the situation appeared to be unchanged. The same setting, challenges, problems, unanswered questions, and seemingly impossible situations. However, on a deep spiritual level, something fundamental changed. Your ability to tolerate specific energies has significantly declined. You were suddenly unable to tolerate things you previously could. Your tolerance for nonsense, drama, manipulation, and diversions has completely vanished. Your desire for superficial connections, superficial relationships, and insignificant conversations is completely gone. These were not just personality changes, they were individually chosen. These weren't mood swings or phases. Those were divine indicators and spiritual signals. Markers were sent from heaven to indicate a significant change in your spiritual DNA. When the divine acts in the spiritual realm, heaven always moves first, with earth trailing behind. The tangible manifestation always precedes the spiritual authorization. The delay between the decree and its visible manifestation is not a form of retribution. This is not a divine withholding from you. It is not a test of forbearance designed to frustrate you. Alignment is the term. It is the divine who allows time, creates space, and orchestrates circumstances so that structures, people, and circumstances can rearrange themselves in a way that does not contradict what has already been authorized over your life. They therefore refrain from interfering with the upcoming event. As a result, they refrain from interfering with what has already been communicated. This is why certain doors closed abruptly, with no notice, explanation, or opportunity to defend themselves. What was the reason for certain people leaving your life without providing closure, having a final conversation, or resolving any outstanding issues? Why did plans that appeared to be so certain, firm, and guaranteed fail at the last minute, just when you thought they were about to be realized? The heavens were clearing up any interference. Heaven was removing impediments. Distractions were being removed in heaven. No, it was not due to the item's inherent cruelty. It wasn't because those people were unsavory. Not because those opportunities were incorrect, but because they were no longer in line with your current circumstances, the preparation you were receiving, and the person you were becoming. You did not fail because those things fell apart. You were not shunned after they left. When those doors shut, you were not penalized. You've completed your education. You obtained a higher classification. You were spiritually promoted and graduated. Promotion in the spiritual realm is rarely seen as celebratory in the moment. I'm experiencing feelings of isolation. There is no noise. The sensation is that of weight. It's a sense of isolation because elevation is always accompanied by increased awareness. True spiritual awareness is associated with an increase in consciousness and responsibility. It is accompanied by a burden of responsibility that the vast majority of people refuse to bear. The divine does not elevate chosen individuals solely to ease their suffering, simplify their lives, or provide them with comfort. Comfort is not a consideration in the context of elevation. The goal is to maximize effectiveness. The subject is impact. It refers to positioning oneself in a way that maximizes the effectiveness of their goal. There was a specific moment when heaven observed, the divine recognized, and confirmed that you could be trusted with silence, the absence of answers, the uncertainty of when the wait would end, and the unknown of what lay ahead. That level of confidence is extremely uncommon. Faith of that nature is extremely rare. The majority of people seek revelation before being prepared for it. The majority of people demand responses before they have the maturity to deal with them. However, as the chosen one, you accepted obedience without explanation. Despite being unaware of all the specifics, you responded, yes. So, you continued to move forward without a complete understanding of the situation. Heaven responded with approval precisely because of this. If you are beginning to understand the information I am disclosing here, and if your confusion is dissipating, please subscribe to this channel right away. This ensures that you don't miss any future messages intended for you. Messages created specifically for the season you are currently experiencing. Why were the archangels astounded by the discharge of what was intended for you? What has been released upon you, chosen one? What decision was made about your life? This was not a typical event. It was uncommon. It was not standard practice. Depending on the assignment, vocation, and object being entrusted, heaven issues a decree or the divine releases an authorization at different levels of authority. Certain tasks require the intervention of angels. Certain people require prophetic substantiation from several sources. Some require signs and marvels to accompany them. However, what was discharged on you? What was authorized regarding your existence and future? The situation required something of greater importance, significance, or weight. It required a mandate so profound, powerful, and far-reaching that even archangels who exist in the presence of the divine paused to observe it. They took note. They observed the substance being emitted. Sharing this does not inflate your ego, chosen one. This is not a case of self-importance or arrogance. This is intended to increase your assurance, strengthen your faith, and stabilize your confidence. Because you will stop having doubts once you understand the level of authority invested in the words spoken over you and the significance of the decrees issued. You will cease to inquire. You'll stop questioning whether it was genuine. Without a doubt, you will understand that the events that have been predetermined for your life cannot be reversed, stopped, or terminated by any opposing force. The adversary is aware of the substance that has been released. Blindness is not a feature of darkness. Evil isn't ignorant. The spiritual realm is conscious. Demons are aware of the changes in your life, even if you don't fully comprehend them. This explains why spiritual resistance increased significantly after your period of silence. This is why assaults became more intense, frequent, and strategic at a time when nothing visible changed in your situation. As a result, warfare intensified just when you thought you were on the verge of a breakthrough. The enemy does not invest resources, waste energy, or launch high-level attacks on those who do not have an assignment, pose no threat, or hold legitimate authority. Interference indicates significance. Opposition indicates importance. Opposition will arise to put your resolve to the test, to challenge your commitment, and to determine whether you will hold your ground or retreat when pressure builds, when heaven authorizes the release of something truly powerful and of eternal consequence. However, it is critical that you understand the following, which should be deeply ingrained in your soul. The attacks and conflicts you've encountered aren't meant to slow your progress. They do not intend to destroy you. They do not intend to derail your calling. Their goal is to increase your capabilities, develop you, train you, and prepare you. Every battle, struggle, and opposition you've faced has sharpened your discernment. It taught you how to distinguish between truth and deception. It demonstrated how to distinguish between the divine voice and the whispers of an adversary. Your patience was strengthened by each delay that frustrated you, each closed door that disappointed you, and each no that perplexed you. It improves your endurance. It improved your ability to stand firm when everything around you is trembling, to trust when you can't see, and to believe when you can't see. Every wound you suffered, every betrayal that deeply hurt you, and every abandonment that left you alone increased your compassion for others. It gave you empathy that you could never have gained through any other means. It imbued you with compassion for the wounded because you have been through the agony of being devastated. You are not the same person who embarked on that difficult journey. You're not the same person you were before the testing started. You've been transformed by the fire. The pressure has refined you. You went through what would have broken countless others, destroying many who were less dedicated than you. You remained loyal despite the fact that it would have been perfectly reasonable to abdicate your position, walk away, or resign. And your endurance, perseverance, and refusal to give up have prepared you for what lies ahead. It provided you with the necessary information to navigate the upcoming transition, as well as the implications for your future and assignment. Chosen one, the authority that has been bestowed upon you is not exclusive to you. It is not just about your personal gain or individual blessing. It is intended for a large group of people. It is intended for a large group of people. It is for everyone who will be impacted by your obedience, moved by your faithfulness, and transformed by your willingness to respond to the divine call. Your assignment is significant. It is of great importance. It is linked to others, which explains why it has eternal consequences. Individuals are anticipating your arrival, accepting your position, and assuming the authority that has been bestowed upon you. They aren't even aware they're waiting. They are unaware that their breakthrough is dependent on your obedience. However, it is. This is why you are unable to maintain any skepticism. This is why comparisons are no longer useful. Your trajectory is distinct. Your timing is deliberate. What appears to be a delay is in fact a form of preparation. The sensation of waiting is fundamentally the process of positioning. You are currently between the stages of authorization and manifestation. Additionally, that area is considered sacred. It is protected. It is safeguarded. The divine does not hasten the arrival of a powerful entity released from heaven. Delay can appear to be a form of protection. You were perplexed as to why progress seemed to be invisible, despite your unwavering faith, and why things slowed just when you were ready. Stagnation was not the case. That was an act of concealment. Heaven keeps what is valuable hidden until the environment is safe enough to accept it. Even the sun was hidden for years before its public appearance. And if that level of calling required concealment, how much more so for those chosen to carry out important missions? This is easily understandable. However, some aspects of your personality remain hidden, not due to your unworthiness, but because premature disclosure would result in interference. Heaven is better at determining the proper time than desire. As a result, paradise operated while you waited. The heavens were safe while you inquired. Everything was being organized behind the veil, despite your belief that nothing had changed. Baishi, the chosen one, the spiritual transformation that you failed to notice. You went through a change you were unaware of. Your spiritual perceptions were enhanced. Your discernment has been enhanced. Your ability to discern truth from deception has improved. You started to notice patterns that you had previously overlooked. You became aware of energies before events occurred. You received warnings prior to the occurrence of peril. This wasn't an accident. This was an enhancement. The vessel must be equipped before heaven releases authority. While you thought you were only surviving, you were actually preparing. Each closed door instilled trust in you. With each delayed response, your patience grew stronger. You learned discernment through each traumatic separation. You're no longer the same person. You have an alternative viewpoint. You react differently. You make a different decision. And those closest to you noticed the change, even if they were unable to express it. Certain people commemorated your development. Certain people viewed it as a threat. A few people distanced themselves because they were unable to maintain a connection. This was not a rejection. That represented a realignment. Your next season is not allocated to all individuals. Some were supposed to join you for only a portion of the journey. Their departure did not constitute a betrayal. It was the culmination. Do not force what is no longer, but rather respect what was. Stewardship is your current obligation. Revelation alters responsibility. After understanding the preceding actions, the manner in which you proceed becomes increasingly important. Rushing, proving, and announcing are not acceptable during this season. This is the time to be responsible with the resources that have been entrusted to us. Restraint is the first obligation. It is critical that you resist the urge to speak prematurely. Not everyone is meant to understand what is happening inside of you. Certain people are meant to see the fruit later. Premature explanation encourages interference. Silence protects what is still in the process of development. This is not secrecy caused by dread. Wisdom is the result of discernment. Humility is the next requirement. Authority thrives on low-lying soil. Elevating the ego obscures clarity. It is critical that you exercise caution when it comes to spiritual pride disguised as confidence. Depends on confidence. Pride is comparable. Confidence is attentive. Pride speaks without need. Maintain your composure. Keep a teachable attitude. Your possessions were not acquired. Rather, they were entrusted to you. The channel remains open as a result of gratitude. It is obstructed by entitlements. Discipline is the third obligation. Non-severe discipline. Consistently gentle. Even if you are in good health, keep praying. Read the scripture for alignment rather than for information. Choose routines that promote tranquility over stimulation. It is more important than ever to consider your own internal environment. Patience is the fourth responsibility. You are currently in between the stages of confirmation and manifestation. This is the point at which many people jeopardize their own breakthrough by acting prematurely. Allow the divine to unfold events in a precise order. Timing is not a cause of delay. Time is a safeguard. Have faith in it. Compassion is the fifth responsibility. As you become more aware, you will notice that others are still trapped in the cycles from which you have escaped. Please refrain from making judgments on them. Keep in mind the duration of your procedure. Gently guide. Communicate with benevolence. Control is the result of authority that lacks compassion. It's not your responsibility to correct everyone. The goal is to maintain consistency. Furthermore, it is critical that you develop the ability to relax without guilt. In this season, relaxation is a form of obedience. Excessive exertion will impair your discernment. You do not have to be exhausted by the divine. Clarity comes from rest rather than effort. Pay close attention to the current aspects of your life that are draining you. Conversations that are burdensome. Chaotic environments. Peace-breaking obligations. You are free to make a different choice. Stewardship includes the establishment of boundaries. Obedience without urgency is an extra obligation. You will receive gentle reminders rather than outspoken directives. A feeling of repose. The sensation of waiting. Consideration of redirection. Stick to those discrete instructions. Your sensitivity is being improved. Obedience will become more precise and less dramatic. You may also notice that blessings arrive in a very quiet manner. Unannounced opportunities. Favor without ceremony. Accept them with a sense of humility. It is unnecessary to announce each victory. Additionally, it is imperative to note the following. Refrain from mentally revisiting previous seasons. Please refrain from reliving pain that has already been alleviated. Emotionally, this causes you to retreat. Staying present is a way to honor your personal development. Perfection is not necessary to progress correctly. It necessitates attentiveness. Remain cognizant of your internal state. Pause when tranquility departs. Pray when clarity is obscured. Patience is advised when confusion arises. The divine is not requesting that you resolve all issues. The request is straightforward. Maintain your alignment. If this message has provided you with a clearer understanding of your emotions, please inform me by liking this video and sharing it with someone who requires this information today. The final straw that resurrects an individual on the brink of collapse and guides them back into the light, the calm before visible manifestation, may be your immediate action. Chosen one, exhale deeply and allow your shoulders to relax. What has been done on your behalf has already been resolved. You are no longer perched on the brink of indecision. You are currently situated in the tranquil region where heaven has spoken and earth is still in the process of catching up. Nothing you endured was in vain. Nothing that you carried was disregarded. Every silent prayer, every restrained reaction, and every moment in which you opted for faith over frustration were observed. Additionally, it was addressed as a result of its visibility. Thoroughly, not in a hurry, but without excessive volume. Emptiness is not the sensation of tranquility you are currently experiencing. It is preparedness. It is the state of tranquility that occurs when striving concludes and alignment commences. You are not anticipating authorization. With confirmation, you are walking. No force can reverse what heaven confirms. You should not hasten the process of unfolding. Do not question what has already been sealed. Allow tranquility to guide you. Allow yourself to be protected by patience. Allow humility to serve as a source of stability. What is intended for you will arrive without force, without disorder, and without you losing yourself in the process. Always bear this in mind. The divine does not bring chosen ones to this far to abandon them in silence. Trust is imparted in this environment without the presence of anxiety. You are being prepared for the imminent manifestation of the situation. And when it does, you will require this internal stability more than excitement. Presently, your obligation is to maintain your presence. Continue praying. Maintain a sense of stability. This foundation will be necessary when the manifestation of what heaven has already approved begins. Right now, you are being constructed for that moment. Therefore, proceed with caution. Maintain your loyalty. Have faith in the decisions that heaven has already made. You're not lagging. You are not overlooked. You are exactly where you should be. Additionally, there are alignments that are currently invisible but will be apparent in the near future. If this message resonated with you, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other selected individuals who require this confirmation. Comment 777 below as a declaration of readiness, peace, and alignment for the release that has already occurred throughout your life. Proceed with caution, chosen one. You are more prepared than you realize as your season is transitioning. We will ascend toward the light.